right, so hey, awesome that that we're all here and we can get right started. I'll begin with the land acknowledgement. I would like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Tionatade, Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask for guidance in all we do. And so number one on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Center Advisory Committee hereby approve the agenda dated June 1st, 2022 as presented. Do we have a mover? Krista, a seconder? Robert, all in favor? Great, that passes. Number two, disclosure of disqualifying interests and general nature thereof. If anyone has anything that they need to let us know and they can't participate in any part of the meeting, just speak up and let us know. Number three, approval of previous minutes. Did everyone get copies of the minutes from our last meeting? Did we have quorum in our last meeting? I'm trying to remember whether we reached it or not. Yeah, we did. Okay, good. Be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Center Advisory Committee hereby approve the meeting minutes dated April 6th, 2022 as presented. Oh, I remember why I don't remember that, because I think I was the one missing and someone had to step in for me. So sorry about that, and thank you for those who stepped in. So do we have a mover for the minutes? Robert, and a seconder? Mary? Great. All in favor? There we go. Good. Okay. Approved. Any business arising from the minutes? All right. Seeing none, maybe we can jump right into Shannon's report.
All right. Thank you, Ben. I'll first start off with the information regarding COVID-19. As per our last report, we still no longer have a capacity limit or a proof of vaccination policy in place. Youth Center staff are still diligent in cleaning and sanitization procedures before, during, and after Youth Center hours. We've opened up our kitchen procedures a little bit, so we're allowing youth to be a bit more hands-on in the kitchen in regards to our food programming than in the past couple weeks or months. So, for the first week of May, from the 2nd until the 6th, the Youth Center had a very successful and exciting week celebrating Youth Week and Children's Mental Health Week. On Monday, we kicked off Youth Week by having a sports tournament at Ives Park. The Wasaga Beach Youth Center joined us for this, in which youth had the opportunity to participate in obstacle races, soccer, baseball, capture the flag, grounders, and more outdoor activities. The night ended with a pizza party, and we are grateful to be able to have over 40 youth attend and enjoy this event. On Tuesday, we headed to Wasaga Beach for a beach day and picnic. Despite the rainy weather, all youth participants who registered for this trip were still up for the adventure, which was great. We had an enjoyable time, and youth hunted for shells, played some sporting activities, had a picnic, and explored the beach and surrounding forest. So it was a great way to get outside during Youth Week when it was raining. On Wednesday, we partnered with New Path Youth and Family Services to throw an event to support Children's Mental Health Week. The event revolved around the concept of #ShineGreen, as the color green is used to represent hope, growth, and transformation. We had a snack and drink stand, a section for music, an area for crafts and outdoor activities, and a tie-dye section in which youth had the opportunity to tie-dye shirts, socks, scrunchies, different shades of green to wear to show their support for this initiative and for youth mental health. Again, this event was very successful, with both youth and their families engaging in the activities and getting to learn more about both New Path and the Youth Center, which was great. On the Thursday, we visited Pixel Paradise Arcade in Angus with several registered youth for this program. This was a great night and allowed many, if not all of the youth, their first chance at visiting and playing in an arcade. And this particular one was a retro one, so there was a lot of new games for all of them. And then finally on Friday, the final day of Youth Week, we decided upon many requests by the youth to stay open later. So instead of staying open until 8 p.m., we stayed open until 10 p.m. And during the 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. hour, we rented an outdoor movie screen and projector and had an outdoor movie night. And we provided popcorn and popped and watched the Chronicles of Narnia. And we'll be planning to do this again in the summer, as it was a huge hit and it was a nice thing to do late at night for youth on Friday night, and highly enjoyable for all of us. So it was a great time. And I am happy to say that all, if not most of the expenses throughout this week were actually covered through the money the youth center and the youth volunteers raised from our pancake breakfast and concession stand that we had at the 3-on-3 tournament during the first week of April. So it was great to be able to use the funds from that to cover the majority of events and outings we did for Youth Week. Next, I'll move on to a grant we just got past month. So this past month, we received funding from the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association and the Government of Canada that covers the cost of a full-time summer student starting this June and ending in September. The details of this funding involve hiring a youth who faces or has faced barriers and allowing them the opportunity to gain valuable employment experiences without needing any previous experience to apply or education. This youth will have ample opportunity to learn all about working in a municipal environment, specifically parks, culture, and recreation. And the focus will be on to help them gain a larger understanding about the field of recreation, but also the varying employment fields that are within a municipality and within a township. The position that this summer student will fill is a youth center programmer. So the youth center programmer will work closely with myself and the 2 assistants to plan program activities, events, and outings for the youth during the summer months. Which will be a great thing to have and will be able to allow them to learn how to program and work for youth and with youth. And then last council meeting.
Shannon, can I ask one question?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
You shared this with me earlier, and we've been trying to get the word out around the school, which I think it's amazing. I just was wondering, is there any other, is this any other part of the Parks and Rec department that will be taking on students, or is this going to be just within the youth center?
So this was a position that we at the youth center applied for. So it will be specifically for the youth center.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Krista, did you have a question?
I did. Yeah. And how do they apply?
So the posting closed on May 24th. It was posted throughout Township, the Clearview website, social medias for the month of May. And right now we're just going through resumes and sending out interviews for selected candidates. Hopefully having one selected within the next week or 2.
Okay.
And then, oh, no problem.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
I actually didn't realize that it closed. I know we had it up on our bulletin board for some of the summer opportunities, but how many applicants did you get, if I can ask?
So we applied for 2 and we got approved for 1. So for this funding opportunity, there was only 200 spots available across Ontario. So we were fortunate to get just 1 of those spots. And hopefully next year, if we apply again, we're able to get 2 summer students. So
what I meant, how many students applied for the position that you had posted?
How many students?
Yes, when we put out the application, did students? Yeah.
So right now, Human Resources is kind of sifting through resumes, and then we'll be sending them my way before we schedule anything. So at the moment, I can't confirm how many students, but I'm really hoping for a larger turnout of students, especially ones close by who maybe attended the youth center in the past. Would be something we'd be looking forward to as well.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I'll move on to my next point, which is at the last council meeting, I touched upon the funding received from Second Harvest, which was an emergency food security fund provided in response to COVID-19. We started to use the funding on March 22nd. And from that date, which is 50 days of days we've been open at the youth center, we have provided approximately 478 dinners to youth ages 11 to 18 in Clearview, which is amazing that we're able to do so. And we've also had 478 dinners that youth have helped us prepare. So they're learning culinary skills, and they're also getting a warm meal at the end of the day, which for some may need it more than you know, which is a great thing we're able to provide. And statistics wise, in my last report, it was noted that we had 49 youth who consistently came throughout the month of March. When looking at statistics for April and May, this number has increased to 55 consistent youth for the month of April. And in May, we had 65 consistent youth who came for this past month, which has been great and has just been showing that while we're gearing up for our summer programs, we'll have a lot of youth who are interested and ready to participate when we're doing some park programming. And that is it from my end.
Well, that's
All right.
fantastic.
Any questions for Shannon? Robert?
Yeah, activity kits. How many, what number are we at in the activity kits?
Yes, great question. Thank you for asking. So as per my last report, we are now doing activity kits on a bi-weekly, bi-monthly basis. So for the month of June, we've advertised our activity kits as summer camp in a kit. And previously we've had them 75 kits available. We've narrowed that number down to 50 kits, just as the demand isn't as much there as it was due to COVID regulations and policies not being as strict. So more youth are able to come into the center, which is also great. But for those who are still uncomfortable, we're able to provide 50 kits.
Okay, good. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, thanks a lot, Shannon. That's excellent.
Yeah, the other, Ben, I would just like to ask one more thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see the youth report be sent to council under the mayor's correspondence. Youth coordinator's report sent. And it does two things for me. A, it helps the rest of council realize how far reaching the youth center is becoming and what activities they are producing out there and the number of fun things, but yet, you know, being able to reach them and help them. That's number one. The second thing is if it goes under the mayor's report, then the public can access the agenda, which is a public agenda. They can open that link and look at the youth report. And the public can also see what we're doing and what the youth are doing. And to me, that would help us advertise, would help us to promote our youth center and hopefully keep it rolling and increase the numbers. So I would just like to see that after, like it would have to go to the next agenda after our meeting. So because we have to approve the youth report, but I would like to see that take place just as an information session for council and for the public.
Can I ask, and maybe Kayla can give us some info, like with our minutes and everything from this meeting and the youth reports are part of that, are they included in the, like they're publicly accessible? Is that correct? The minutes from this meeting?
They are publicly accessible, you're correct. And the good thing about the youth coordinator report being on our agenda is it's also available that week prior to the meeting. So anybody can access it through the clearview.ca calendar, meeting calendar, and then through the agenda. So you would select the meeting calendar, find the youth center advisory committee and select the agenda, and just like you guys receive it, they receive it as well. So it's out there a week before, Councillor Walker, as well.
Yeah.
Robert, were you thinking this might just be a way that like more people might pay attention to it if it's attached to the mayor's report?
To me, it's my main one was the councillors, the rest of the council, to understand and see what's happening out there. Because I really don't believe that many of them click on the youth center minutes to review. And I try and highlight the youth center meetings every time at the next council meeting. But I think the youth report would be by far a better reach to those council members to review and look at. And if they have questions, I can try and answer. And if not, we will get them an answer. It's just the way I feel to promote and to keep our youth center in the forefront, because we've come a long way to this point, and I don't want to lose it now.
So Robert, what would be the process for say having this as a standard part of the mayor's report? Is that something that you would just talk to Mr. Measures about, or would it be something that we'd try to put forward as a recommendation from this committee?
I think Kayla would help me if I'm wrong here, but we could just send a copy under the agenda to the mayor's correspondence, could we not?
Yep, I think that would be fine. I'm going to compose a letter to the clerk as well, and I'll CC yourself on it, Councillor Walker, to see the best way to proceed forward with that.
Because then they can, rest of council, they can access that, open it, look at it. And if not, I can always pull it forward and highlight it at each meeting as well then, because it's there.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll ensure to put that through. So you'll see an email go out as soon as this meeting's done, Councillor Walker.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. Okay, so unless there's anything else pertaining to Shannon's report, in our new business, I see there's an item, in-person meetings. And again, I'm not up on the updates from that have been sent along to the township from the health unit, but I'm assuming that this means that the recommendation is we can resume those meetings. Kayla, was there a specific point about this or something to share in terms of like the recommendation? Are they saying we want everybody going in person, or are committees given a choice in terms of how they want to proceed?
Yeah, so the boards and committees are giving a choice right now of whether they'd like to remain virtual. And again, this is a good discussion to have with the board and committee members to kind of gauge their comfort level with that. We're ending, hopefully, near the end of the pandemic, and would like to return to in-person meetings. However, we are cautious and very mindful of the volunteers and their feelings too. So if it's something that the committee would like to do going forward, right now, in-person meetings are being held in a larger space. We're social distance, about 6 feet apart, wearing the mask unless we are actively eating or drinking or speaking, so that we can still see the lips and hear people without that barrier there. So if that's something that this committee is interested in, you're more than welcome to discuss feelings and comfort levels.
To be quite honest, I personally find virtual meetings convenient. I'd love to hear what other people think, but for me, the only way the big plus for meeting in person is if we're able to be at the youth center and do our meetings there. It gives us a chance to connect there and see what's going on, which is always good for us. Would that be a possibility if we were doing in-person meetings, or would that not meet the requirements in terms of space needed?
But should be fine. I think Shannon would have a better understanding of space.
The back room would be big enough.
So we do have the back room here. The one area of concern I have is we are open at 3 p.m. For the youth, so it can get very noisy beyond the door.
So virtual it is, Shannon.
We could just drop in at our own time, I guess, to see how things are going.
Yes, we would love to have all of you come by whenever possible. There's always a space here, so.
Nice. Well, it's long overdue for me. I need to get in there for sure. It's been quite some time. So.
And I literally live on the street, so.
Any other thoughts or comments about the virtual versus in person?
I would love in person, but I mean, again, space and not being at the youth center itself, seeing the progression and the things that are happening, and the information that's on the wall and information that's provided to the students. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I would want to be seeing in my hands and visually looking at. So without that, I think it would be nice maybe at the next meeting, if not everybody can make it in, that maybe there is, Shannon does her virtual, a part of her meeting can be not just statistics and reports and numbers, but walking around with her cell phone and kind of like showing us what's happening in there, what's on the walls, what's the information that's available to the students as they walk in, what can they see versus having to have the courage to come and ask or speak to. But what is the information that they can see and take them down themselves? Because that is, I mean, coming from a mother with a daughter with mental health issues, yeah, that's really important. And not all of them have a voice. They go and they want to talk, but they can't. So a lot of them visually take in the information that's displayed on the walls or pamphlets. So I would just like to see that kind of information. I see Mary was shaking her head. So I think it's really important that if that can be a part of a little tour for you, Shannon, sorry to put that on you, but I want to see what's outside of your door and in that front foyer, in that front walk-in room.
That's totally, yeah, I would love that as well, Krista. What I would say is for, I don't know if it's possible, but for July and August on Wednesdays, our programming will be outside. So no youth will be in the youth center on Wednesdays. If it's possible for like in August or July, one of those months, if there is a committee meeting, I would love to have you all in here during that time, as there will be running around and noisy.
Yeah, let's make July then if we could. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, if we can get inside, like that's what I want to see.
Yes.
I mean, and I haven't been in there since the kitchen was getting done. So it wasn't even completed yet 100%. So yeah.
Yeah, then totally. I'd love for all of you to come and see it.
Mary, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I was just going to say if a virtual tour would work best for me, because I really never know from day to day what my requirements are going to be for what needs my focus here at the office. And having to go to the youth center would require me leaving work like extra early. But I'll go with the flow, and if I can come live and in person, I most certainly will.
Yeah, if consensus is virtual, little Zoom and walk around, then I'm okay with that too. So.
No, I don't disagree with you, Chris. I think it'd be great. I just, with my desk, I can't always, but I would love, because I haven't seen the kitchen either. I haven't been to the youth center obviously since before COVID started. So yeah, I would really like to.
Cool. I'm glad I brought that point up today.
I'm flexible. Council has just started. We're back in the chambers, just council only, and the CAO and the clerk, and everybody else is virtual at this point in time still. So we're kind of a hybrid meeting. At some point, I believe the health unit is going to make an announcement shortly or coming soon to loosen things up a bit more. But until that time, that's the way we are. We have our partitions up between each counselor, plexiglass and stuff like that. So it's nice to get back. It's nice to be able to see everybody in person. But I understand the youth center, so I'm quite flexible with whatever the rest decide. I'll just roll with the goal here, and no problems.
Well, and I like the hybrid option too. We found that at school. It's been great. We've been able to open up and have people together for meetings. Fantastic. But still, there's so many people have so many different agendas that sometimes it's just easier to, we get whomever from the board office, rather than taking the drive out to Stainer that day, they can connect with us and give input. So maybe we can keep that flexibility to be able to make it work. If we can meet at the youth center, awesome. And then if some people can call in and we can facilitate that, I think that works for me.
So right now, Ben, the only people who are being offered the hybrid approach, just due to our current infrastructure and requirements of having the ability to live stream, are council, because they have the OWL camera, and the library board, who's also using the council chambers at this point. So if it's kind of all or nothing. It's all on virtual,
Gotcha.
all in person.
No, we don't get that. We're only the youth council. We
Yeah.
don't get hybrid.
Mhm.
No, so, and none of the hall boards do either. So it's only really those two, and there might be a one-off with the property standards committee as well if there's a hearing. But
Well, don't rub it in on all the other councils that are all the other volunteer committees that get it. Just say it's not an option.
yeah, I want to be completely honest, open, and transparent.
Okay.
So there it is. But I'm sure if you wanted to go in, I'm sure Shannon might be able to organize something where you could go in and take a tour, or maybe that virtual tour at the end of one of the virtual meetings. But again, I want to throw all the options out there before we go and make a decision. We're hoping not to bounce back and forth. So once it's in person, we're back to pre-COVID. Yay. Hopefully.
I'm fine with virtual, just so, yeah, if it's easier for everybody, I think that that's great, and whatever everybody's consensus needs are. So I can walk in across the street anytime I want.
I agree with Krista. I think to facilitate as many people as possible participating with these meetings, let's keep it virtual. We may only have a couple more meetings while this group is
And
still
we're not,
together.
like, I mean, we are missing members today, right? So
Right.
without them, they also to weigh in today, I think virtual is just going to be the best.
Agreed. Yeah. Kayla, is there any kind of motion required, or are we just supposed to report back to you after we have a consensus?
No, I think that's sufficient. We only really need a motion if we're going to change what we're doing. So I think this is a really good discussion. If you'd like to meet in person, all it takes is one person to email me, hey, can we throw in-person meetings back on that agenda? We'd like to revisit it. That's not a problem.
Awesome. Okay. Sounds good. Any other new business that we want to bring up at this point? Mary? I can see the top of your fingers. I think.
Sorry. It's not new business, but just on continuing that discussion, because we should get input from the other committee members who aren't here. Should we be sending a communication with them and saying that we discussed it? We're going to continue to meet virtually unless somebody has, because again, I think most of us are very flexible here. So maybe other people have stronger opinions. I don't know.
That's a good idea, just in case there's some reason that someone might be more inclined to participate in person. I think just knowing the group, it sounds like a lot of people like that flexibility too with all the schedules, but just in case, I think you're right. It's good to put out there.
Okay. I don't know how that gets accomplished. But
Kayla does it.
Oh, okay.
You put on that little black box right there.
Thank you.
I'm happy to send an email out to the committee after this meeting as well. And Councillor Walker, just as an update, since we're kind of under new business anyway, I did just receive communication back from the clerk, who's also CC'd Terry Vachon. So it'll actually go under department reports. And likely in the future, once we come into the new term of council, it won't even go to the committee first. It'll go right to council as soon as it's available, if that's okay with everyone and Terry. So
Great, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, any other new business? Okay. So I feel like it's been pretty good us meeting every 2 months. We're kicking off the summer season, and this is our June meeting. I'm actually not going to be available in July. Most of July I'll be away, but if we can set our next meeting for August, does that work for everybody? And again, that might be one of our kind of beginning of the end meetings, just as we'll be looking down ahead to the new format for the Youth Advisory Committee moving forward with the new terms of office coming in, which will be exciting to see. So what would be the appropriate day if we stick with Wednesday in August? If anyone has a calendar in front of them, I don't. I apologize.
I have August 3rd, but I think I'm behind or ahead a week. So is it August 3rd, or would it be like the week after?
Mm-hmm. Now, Kayla, do you know what would be?
It would be August 3rd. That's your first Wednesday of the month.
What? I was right.
Yes, you were. Almost like a hairstylist.
This really, it's like I live by a calendar. So
Excellent. Well, why don't we aim that then for our next meeting, August 3rd. We'll stick with the 3:30 time frame virtually, and that sounds good to me. Great. Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we need either the motion to adjourn. Be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Center Advisory Committee hereby adjourn at it's like 4:07 p.m. Mover, Krista, seconder, Mary, all in favor? There we go. All right, thanks everybody. It's good to connect. I just wanted to mention while we're still here, just as a little plug, tomorrow night at Stainer Collegiate, we're hosting once again after a long-awaited or a long pause. We've got our arts night coming back. So the music department, the drama department, the arts department is putting on their show. It's at 6 p.m. Finally open to the public, so we can start getting people back in the building. So it should be fun. They're going to do some fundraising and have some events, and students will be performing. So so get the word out there, and we'd love to see people